Okay, so here we are at Coldwater, Kilo Oscar Echo Bravo, and I just got some new scenery from Bing for the ortho photos there for the ground textures. So we're going to fly up here and see how this all looks. So I've got my simulator start checklist here, right down here, and right now we're looking at the throttle and mixture are good, documents required, views are synced, the switches are all off, so just make sure all the switches are off, the parking brake is set, and the USB hub is on. I call these my circuit breakers, and there's self-test on the panels. Got a LED that's misbehaving there. Alright, so everything looks good. So the whiskey compass is looking good and the trim indicator is working. So now the settings, so I have to open these and check the controls are free and correct, if they're centered, and then close them. So we go up here to settings and joystick keys and equipment. Alright, and then I can just turn the control wheel, check the elevators, check my rudders and the toe brakes. See those little green lines there? And we go to center and just make sure everything is centered. Alright, everything looks good there. So those are my settings that I'm using, 25% for the pitch and 20% for the stability. It just helps it fly more realistically. 35% for the roll control and 0 stability there, and 50% for the rudders with 5% control on that. So we'll go ahead and close those. Those are good. And make sure the weather plug-in is working. So we go here to plugins, to XP NOAA weather, configuration. We see here that it's indeed Oscar Echo Bravo at 1515 Zulu. Now, the weather report, when we listen to it, will not pick up the dew point. It always says 0 no matter where I'm at. I don't know why. And here's my Hobbs meter here. So this keeps track of the engine hours. It's tied to the master switch, so every time the master switch is on, this is running. A position is on, so it makes sure that I'm, when I start the sim, it's right back where I was parked. And it also keeps track of my fuel and radios. So we'll go here to plugins, X-Hobbs, and show X-Hobbs, and I'll click that and it disappears. So we don't have that on the screen anymore. So that checklist is complete. I'll just put this down in the door pocket. And I've got my checklist here. Now I've got new checklists that I'm making. I'm trying to make a hybrid between the Cessna 172 POH checklist and the stuff required for the simulator and stuff that I don't want to forget. So the Hobbs meter checked, parking brake is set, weather report has been checked, circuit breakers, they're all on, flight controls have been checked free and correct, the magnetos are off, avionics switch is off, master switch on. Alright, and then I'm going to turn on the rotating beacon and get the standard 6 started. Connect. Alright, so that looks good. And I've turned my heading bug here, and you can see the heading bug moves here. We're going to be running runway 25. So I'll turn the heading bug to 25, somewhere around in there. We'll make sure that when we get ready for takeoff. Okay, do the flaps, extend the flaps, and you can see the flaps extending at the edge of the wing there. Just helps to verify that it's actually working. You can hear the sound of it as well. Fuel level, enunciators checked, fuel level checked, 18 gallons, almost 19 gallons in each tank. My exhaust gas temperature and fuel flow, just leave it right there. The fuel shut off, on. I'm going to go ahead and fuel selector both. You see the fuel selector down there. And the pitot heat is off and all static air here is closed. Avionics is off. Standard 6 has been checked, lights checked, fuel shutoff is on, throttle idle, mixture cutoff, and I'm going to trim for takeoff here. Before engine start checklist complete, engine start checklist. Throttle 1/4 open, prop area clear. Clear! And ignition is off. So we're going to go ahead and prime this up. So I'll turn on the fuel pump. Mixture to rich. You can see the fuel flow. Alright, fuel flow is stable. Pump off. Magnetos are on. And when the engine catches, I'm going to have to put the mixture all the way to rich. So I'm just going to prop the phone here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I'm just going to prop it up like that. And throttle up to 1,000 RPM. Check the gauges. Oil pressure, oil temperature are good. Vacs and amps are good. I'm going to lean the mixture for taxi operations by throttling up to 1,200 RPM. Alright, so those wind gusts are windmilling my propeller. So it's kind of tough to nail it on that. See, it's just going up and down. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the exhaust gas temperature to lean the mixture here. I'm just going to pull back on the mixture here until I get peak EGT. I don't have a vernier control, so I just have to be gentle pulling back here. Alright, that looks good. And we'll go ahead and throttle back down. Alright, and put on the headphones here. Okay, so here we are. We're going to do the run-up. And parking brakes set. Throttle up to 1,800 RPM. That's close enough. Left magneto check. Watch the drop there. It's less than 150 both. Right magneto check. And less than 50 between the two both. I'll check out the oil pressure, oil temperature, vacs and amps look good. Turn on the pitot heat here. Watch the amps go up. Turn it back off. Amps come back down. Looks good. Throttle idle check. brakes up, gear up. Don't have retractable gear, but I'm in the habit of saying it now. I'm going to check for traffic before making my crosswind turn here. Clear left and clear right. And we're at 500 feet. British County traffic stop. Rubber 121 Alpha, turning left crosswind, runway 25 Bridge County. switches off. Fuel selector to the left or right. I prefer the right. Fuel shut off. Time record 16:58. Write that down here. Master switch is off. Avionics off. Or the standard 6 rather. And get the hops meter back up. The hops meter is at 20416, excuse me. 16. Shut down circuit breakers 2 through 4. And that concludes the flight.